Hey everyone, welcome back to Evony with Genghis. So, a little tip for you guys, SVS week on now. There is an Aptoid code at the top of the screen. If you do use Aptoid, that will save you an extra little bit of money. It lasts until Thursday, so 24 hours before SVS starts, which brings us to today's tip. So I've got this from our server play a long time ago, but I was reminded of it. I did first interview of my interview series with Real Barb Life, now known as the Toolbox, the Total Toolbox. Anyways, he's on server, is it 1463? Something still, sorry, he'll let us know in the comments, I'm sure, or in my Discord. Anyways, it's 1400 something. He's C6, and he's very good. And one thing about Barb Life's channel, if you want to check it out, just to let you guys know, I do think, other than myself, he's the only YouTuber for the Evony who is pumping out content every day. So that is something, and he does have that work ethic and that drive. I know I see a lot of other ones. They might put out fancier videos, but they're only doing like one video a week or so. So he is staying up to date and doing everything. And it's just fun because he's a C6 player. So it's like, oh yeah, I remember when that used to be really fun. I remember that from the good old days, the glory days that we all used to love. And he just did a video on different elements you should have in your alliance, different officers. He called them duty officers like you have in your building. And basically, people to train people in PvP, people to watch out to make sure you're following server rules, because it's just a lot for one person to have that. So I thought of that, and I was like, you know what? That reminds me of how when we used to care about SVS, and we had a server that worked together. We still do work together. We just don't actually do SVS. But there was a task, and we had some people who were responsible for this. So let's get to it. So first, let's look at SVS, and it's just opening this week, and we are playing server 325 plus 286. So let's go over there. I've already bookmarked a couple over there. So this is the big people. And the tip is to basically find all the alliances and mark them, and then find out when they're active. So one thing you can do, obviously, so right there's a little activity. So Portuguese. So Portuguese, this would be about... this would be about 4 a.m. for that guy, but he could be Brazilian, right? Or that could be a bot. You never know. He could be Brazilian, and then it's like 10 p.m. So it doesn't matter where they're from, but those languages can help you a little bit, right? Like, you're not going to find too many people with the Chinese language who live in North America. They're almost always going to have, the Asian time zone. So there we go, rally return. So there's some people there that are active right now. This seems like it's probably, a mostly American English alliance, because it's about 10 p.m. in North America right now. Anyways, you should be looking at all the other ones too. So let's look at, here's a different one on the server. So 325 looks pretty empty. And what you should be doing is you should be keeping track all week of their activity. Now, older servers, you're like, go us, man. We don't care about SVS, or we just smash people. Either one. You either fall into one of those categories if you're on like C1, 2, 3. You don't care because you're not good, or you just smash people and you love it. And then, if you're on new servers, you absolutely thrive for SVS. You love it. No one's really too far ahead of each other. It's a lot of fun. So why you would be, so these guys are probably North American as well. They're a little active. And why you would care about their time zones is, first of all, throne wars, right? Like, that's going to give you an idea. If you're going to try and conquer them, figure out when their big people are sleeping. Now, some servers, especially older servers, share access to their accounts. So all it takes is one person to be online from a time zone with a couple of the big accounts, and they can defend. But if they don't do that, or new servers tend not to do that until they, until you care a little less about the game. And then you're like, yeah, I'll share so we can win, because, what's the worst that could happen? I get my life back if someone steals my account. But new servers, it's like, I ain't letting anyone touch my account. And I'm still like that. 5 years still in, and don't give out my password. Don't do it. Won't ever do it. Anyways, back to where I was going with this. Other things you can do is you could just find out their activity for go conquer their temples, their throne. You could watch them in BOG, see what battlefield time they play. If you're into burning throne hives when people are in battlefield, that can help. Or if you just want to finish off a temple while they're in battlefield, don't recommend burning hives when people are in battlefield because they could just do it right back to you. And it doesn't really do any harm. It's just annoying. And then you have that annoyance back on yourself. So this would be their top alliance. And that was a good amount of activity. Small lines, like they weren't up very long. So I'm going to assume they're doing Vikings. So someone's probably online doing Vikings. They look pretty good. They're going to smash us, I'm sure. But hopefully we'll have fun and lots of people will get some points. But anyways, that's a tip for you guys. You write down all week when you see most of their activity, when you see most of the rallies going on, if you see them gathering, and especially the players, right? Like you take note. You don't necessarily care too much if this guy is doing anything, but you do care if the big accounts are setting rallies and things are really going after it. And then you could really on Yemer days, it's Yemers this week. Yes, Yemers is SVS. And watch then. You're almost always going to see them with a large amount of activity on Yemers, and you'll be able to track what time zone they are if you had any discrepancies during the week and weren't sure. So anyways, that's a little SVS tip for you. Track the other server's activity and plan your attacks around it. Like if you're going for wings, that's a really good idea to be like, oh, so their two biggest accounts aren't online at this time? I'm free to go play? Awesome. And another thing you can do too is if you're going for wing points, go when the big alliance is in battlefield, right? There's no threat. There's less threats on server. You actually might get their people who are doing it too. And double whammy if your bigs are in battlefield at that time, because then you might get on both sides a lot of little guys with some action. So yeah, it looks like they're doing Vikings because those lines are pretty far away, but most of them, they're fast too. These guys don't get 2-week turtle marches. Anyways, let me know any suggestions you have in the comment section and other tips that we could give players in SVS, and subscribe, leave a comment.